Thank you very much. Good to be here. Thanks for staying around before tea. And thanks to Phil Dickinson for the opportunity. Move right along. Got a bit to say. Disclaimer, this will be on our website and on the ASX today. Okay, so what's different about us? We've got big targets. We've got two main projects, one in Western Victoria, one in the East Kimberley in WA, and they are huge opportunities. So we made a discovery on the Cayley lode in September 2019. We took a couple of years to drill that out, almost 10 million tonnes at 1.25% copper, quarter gram gold from surface, steeply dipping, structurally controlled, high-grade mineralisation. But we believe that there's a porphyry underneath this lode that is driving it, and examples would be the far southeast porphyry deposit in the Philippines, containing about 20 million tonnes of gold, and the resolution porphyry underneath the magma vein set in Arizona, 2 billion tonnes at 2.5% copper. So again, a big target. We've recently discovered a breccia pipe in the S41 prospect. It's 2 kilometres in a northwest orientation, about 750 metres northeast. We've only got one hole into it. There's abundant sulfides, well mineralised, multi-phase porphyry system. And examples would be Kidston, Mount Lation, and Keelian. It's very early days on that project. And then recently we've announced that we're acquiring, again from Chalice, the Hawkstone Magmatic Nickel Copper Cobalt project. It's in the East Kimberley. It's adjacent to a discovery 1 kilometre from our tenement boundary by IGO and Buxton. The Merlin discovery, 8% average tenor nickel, so that's equivalent to in excess of half an ounce gold. So it's very rich. And an example of that would be the Nova Bollinger project in the Albany-Fraser Mobile Belt. So the Stavely project, we were pretty much a first mover, recognising the porphyry potential in that area, and so we picked up a very dominant 10-year position. As described, we made a discovery in 2019, contains over 200,000 tonnes of copper, 100,000 ounces of gold, and over 3 million ounces of silver. Again, it is that magma butte lode style system, and the implication being that it's driven at depth from by a porphyry that we've yet to see. And there are a lot of regional discovery opportunities. I mentioned the S41 Brescia prospect, but also Junction 1, where access has been denied for about 15 years, and that property is up for sale. Thankfully, the new owner is likely to be friendly to us, and Tora Road I'll briefly mention. So the Stavely and Ararat projects, the Ararat project actually sits off screen up here. It's got a little VMS on it. It's a large 10-year position. Thursday's Gossan, the main project, just in here. S41 is located just north of Willora here, just for geography. We made this discovery in 2019, the discovery hole, 32 metres at 6% copper and a gram gold, with a spectacular 2 metres at 40% copper, and really the high tenor is due to the bornite, and here the silvery mineral is chalcocite, so 60 and 80% copper as minerals. So very good grades, steeply dipping on the contact, typically between an ultramafic over here and a volcanosedimentary sequence here. Very much amenable to both open pit and underground mining. So the resources, this is a long section Pierce Point. The magenta holes here, Pierce Points, 100 copper per cent meters, or think of it as better than 50 meters at 2% copper. So they're really significant hits, a large number of them. The resource extends down to about 300 metres. These are the deepest holes that we've done in that resource drilling, and it gently plunges down to the southeast. That's important because I'll refer to that later. It's well drilled, all diamond drilling, because there's saline water in the area. You don't want to kill the crops or sterilise the soil. 40 by 40 drill collars through the area, optimised within open pit, and 62% of the resource is in the indicated category, so high confidence. The underground potential, I just used this drill hole as an example. The overall intercept was 87 metres at 1.74% copper and half a gram gold, within which there are sub-intervals that are very much amenable in terms of grade to underground mining. The basal intercept here is very consistent throughout our drilling in this resource. In this case, it's 9 meters at 4.1% copper and almost 2 grams gold. And in this example, there's another sub-interval in here, 24 meters at 4.2% copper and 1.25 grams gold. So very much amenable to underground mining type intercepts. So how do we see this developing? The initial indications were that we would do an open pit, and we'd just come off the base of that open pit and go underground and mine on these 3 mineralized structures that we've identified to date. And we have drilled it down to 1 kilometer's depth on this structure here. What we favor now is a small footprint underground development. It's a lot less risky in terms of permitting, and we're discussing trucking this ore to one of the local processing facilities that are set up to process gold, and we just modify the back end of that plant to do a concentrate and then export it. So those discussions and studies are underway and continuing. The deep porphyry target, as I say, it's got a very gentle plunge to the south. The example that we would use is this Lepanto in far southeast. So Lepanto is a high sulfidation system sitting up in here, very gentle plunge in this direction, similar to the Cayley lode. But down here, Goldfields owns the far southeast copper porphyry deposit. It's almost 900 million tons, 0.5% copper and 0.7 grams gold, with a contained almost 20 million ounces of gold. So that's really the analogy and the prize that we're looking for in our deeper drilling. So this is deep filtered magnetics. It's looking to highlight those deep-seated features within the belt. Clearly, you can see the Stavely volcanic belt wending its way up through here. A little bit of a flexure in through this area where the Cayley lode, and this is the Thursday's Gossan prospect, sits. And really, what we're saying is that we see a deep-seated magnetic feature here on the margin of the very large alteration system that we think could be the deep porphyry target. We're just about to drill test that one. I'll talk about regional targets, Junction, Northern Flexure and Toro Road, all in that belt as well. So, nice segue. So what we're dealing with in these volcanic arcs is an ancient continental margin where the oceanic plate was subducting on what was then, 500 million years ago, the Eastern Australian margin, the continental margin, and a series of porphyry prospects came up through this area. What we're looking at here is a stylized diagram showing the deep porphyry down here, and then different styles of fluids coming off, a high sulfidation fluid on this side and a low sulfidation fluid on this side, and where our various prospects might sit on here. And we're talking about 5 to 7 kilometers vertically. These systems can be telescoped, so that can be compressed, but really what we're saying is over here on the high sulfidation side, we've got the Cayley lode, and that there should be a porphyry driving that underneath. Fairview is a quartz sulfide gold copper vein system that's just south of Thursday's Gossan. S41, a new discovery of a breccia pipe, but a carbonate base metal style gold system. So we've got the full gamut. Is still, the whole area is very, very prospective and really hasn't been focused on. The reason being that within all of our tenure, all the known prospects are within about a 20-kilometer strip of subcrops. So this is where the rocks are barely visible below surface, but to the south, to the east, to the north, all this stippled stuff here, that's basalt cover. No one's seen the rocks underneath that. It's hard to drill through. Up to the north here is the Grampians, and that's younger cover drifting off that. So it's very much early stage exploration because no one knew how to target within these areas. So what we've done, here's local gravity showing the Thursday's Gossan gravity low, and there was a previous presenter showing these gravity lows over North Parks, Cadia, and those sorts of areas, Mile. Here's a low on Mount Stavely. That low is related to a large alteration system because the hydrothermal fluids that carry the gold and copper, etc., alter the rocks to clay, and they're less dense than every other rock around it. And so we flew the whole tenement area with this Falcon gravity gradiometer. This is what it looks like, 1,500 square kilometers of tenure, and lo and behold, there's Thursday's Gossan. It sticks out like the proverbials as a gravity low. There's Mount Stavely there. But then we went, my goodness, what are all these little things doing? And so that's led to the identification of 19 regional exploration targets, one of which was Toro West. We made a porphyry discovery there. It was I call it an incipient porphyry because it was only a single phase of porphyry mineralization. You need 3 or 4 phases overprinting to make a decent porphyry deposit. So we walked away and dropped the ground because it wasn't going to make it. But I'll just go on to S41 in through here, Toro Road here, and the northern flexure here, and just talk a little bit about those as regional targets. So here's S41. This is the magnetics, 2 mag lows sitting within the very high amplitude basalt, very magnetic. Here's 2 gravity highs within a broader gravity low. Very, very interesting geophysically. We did a series of air core holes, which are all these, and then drilled a diamond hole underneath a gold result that we got in one of those air core holes, 2 meters at 4 grams. It's 2 kilometers in strike extent so far and open. You can see that just points to 2 endpoint drill holes. So in section, we went through the andesite package, and then on this margin, we hit the breccia pipe. We didn't get to the other margin of the breccia pipe. Here's our 2 meters at 4 grams in the air core hole. We got a meter at 2 grams here, 37 meters at 0.1 grams gold here. But these breccia pipes are very, very notorious for being inconsistently mineralized with gold. And so what we're seeing here is, here's the Kidston breccia pipe, and the gold is just up here on the margins. And really, most of the gold in these systems come in very late in a relaxation event, and they're typically hosted on the margins or just in these sort of collapse sort of zones that open up while the fluids are coming through. So that's what we're yet to find in the system. Northern flexure, a long strike north of Thursday's Gossan. First drill program we've ever done here, from 12 meters, 20 meters at almost an ounce silver, needs follow-up. Junction 1, it is the biggest copper and soil auger anomaly in the entire project. This is Cayley Lode here. Junction's huge, denied access for 15 years, us and all previous explorers, but someone drilled off across the road, just here, 35 meters at 3.4% copper to end of hole, and yeah, there's a lot of smoke around. So we'd very much like to see that property transact in terms of a sale. The new owner, we believe we know and is friendly. We'd like to get on that ground. And just continuing up along, there's the Cayley Lode, the northern flexure, and then Toro Road up here. Rio Tinto hole back in the 80s, 15 meters at 1.3 grams gold. They drilled all around that without luck, but what they didn't see was the gravity. There's Thursday's Gossan with Cayley Lode. There's northern flexure, and the next gravity low just to the south of that intercept is here. No one before us has seen that gravity data, so that's the opportunity. Hawkstone, just very, very briefly on this project, we've just announced that we'd acquire from Chalice Mining. Obviously, as previously mentioned, these guys are very busy just north of Perth on a nickel, copper, platinum discovery. It is right next door, 1 kilometre away from a nickel discovery by Buxton Resources, an independence group, or IGO as they prefer to be called now, in this area in the East Kimberley. It is a complementary field system to the Stavely area. Stavely, I've just been at last week, and gee, it's wet out there, so very difficult to move. There are lithium pegmatites there because there are significant tin tungsten producing mines through there, so we'll get in there and have a look for those pegmatites that are typically associated with that style of mineralization. Here's Merlin, the discovery. Here's the green ruins dolerite coming through our tenure. Very prospective and very undercooked as far as exploration is concerned. So our work program, we're going to be busy. The porphyry drilling, that deep porphyry drilling, as conditions permit, we can get a drill on ground. We're looking at sort of mid-October at the moment. A second program contingent on the outcome of the first. The Toro Road prospect, we continue on, drill that gravity low there. Air core drilling at Junction 1. At S41, we'll do IP survey to map out where those sulfides are, the edges of the system. Once we know where the edges are, we come in with air core drilling. Sorry, my bad. air core drilling here, and then follow with diamond drilling. Hawkstone, we've brought forward the Falcon Gravity Gradiometer survey. We're big fans. It was so good to us at Stavely. It turns out that the platform's available within the next couple of weeks. That means this field season we can get on the ground in ground truth what anomalies appear. However, it'll take until next year that we do EM and then RC drill test those anomalies. Every deposit on the Merlin nickel cobalt discovery is a combined gravity and EM conductor, and so it's pretty simple type of exploration. So the copper thematic is obvious to everybody. There's not many quality assets in first world jurisdictions, and we've been belted in the market, as has everybody else. Thank you for your attention, and good day.